Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Rouge Rugby podcast. I'm Stu Hardy, joined as always by Derek Brissett. Derek, there's a lot of rugby this weekend, but unfortunately no arrows. What else did you do to occupy your time?
No, I still just watch rugby. It's there's a whole six games.
There's a whole 80. Yeah, but there was a whole 80 minutes, which is normally reserved for the arrows, that was now available to you. So.
No, because it was a full 6-game schedule. So it's like the same 80 minutes. It's just allotted to watching two different teams. That's all.
Yeah, 6 games played. But didn't you mention about wanting to watch The Batman? Did you get around to that?
Yeah, no, I didn't do that. Did not do that. I've
Too much
heard it's
rugby.
good. I've heard it's good though. I haven't seen it yet though. So I don't. Did you go see it? What did you do with the Arrows bye week? What did you do?
I looked morningly out of a window, waiting for the arrows to come back, and had to just wait another week. And speaking of the arrows not playing for a week, this is normally the time where we would be talking about the arrows' latest endeavors and how well they played and what they need to improve on. But
so join us for an in-depth discussion on who had the best Bahamas beach Instagram photos. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Sam Malcolm had good photos, and then Ross Brody had a few. Yeah. Sheridan had a few thrown in. I think Mirez was leading. Top try scorers got to have top photos as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's what's better, the Bahamas beach trip or the skiing trip? It looked like some guys went skiing, some guys went to the beach. Two very different temperatures, very different themed activities.
Yeah,
which one would you rather? How would you spend your bye week? What do you?
Seeing as we are in Canada and Toronto still has snow, I'd much prefer the sunny, warm beaches of the Bahamas than a ski trip. But that's just me. What about you? Would you prefer the beaches or?
Yeah, no, I would go. I think I would go ski trip. I think I would go ski trip, man. It's I think we all kind of like make fun of the snow and stuff sometimes, but the snow's nice. You can do some fun stuff in the snow that you can't really do. Anywhere else.
Well, think about it. Of the 4 guys that went to the Bahamas, 3 of them are from the Southern Hemisphere. This time of year is meant to be their summer going into their fall or autumn, and Johnny Sheridan as well. So they were like, I've got to get back into the warm climates. Got to get used to.
There's some Southern Hemisphere guys on that ski trip from the looks of it too. So
that's it. Also, I think Kyle Bailey went to Mexico. But I think that was more of a just him, not him and the lads kind of thing.
Is this borderline on kind of creepy? Like, is it kind of creepy that we know this? We follow too many athletes on Instagram. It's kind of weird.
I think it is. I think we should focus more on the games that actually happened.
Yeah, just getting
that
weird.
Everyone was able to watch.
Yeah.
So we did have a few games this the Arrows weren't involved in them. But nonetheless, starting on the Friday, we had Seattle versus NOLA. And, it seems that the crack in the seawall seems to be continuing on because NOLA were, basically doing a death by penalties throughout the game. However, Seattle were able to get back into it. There were some fantastic tries scored by the Seawolves, but it was the boot of NOLA that made all the difference in the end, with the final score being Seattle 24, NOLA 25. Now, this kicked off at 10:30, so you can excuse any fans on the East Coast not staying awake until the end or going out.
You really don't enjoy staying up late, do you?
No, I'm one of the, well, this is the thing. I'm so used to waking up early to get ready to watch like Six Nations rugby or European rugby that I'm not a fan of staying up late unless the Arrows are playing. Then I'll make an exception.
No, because you complained about that too. You complained about that too.
You're also forgetting I'm British. I complain about everything. So
you do.
Even when everything goes right, I'll still find something to complain about. So Derek, what do you make?
I've noticed. The Arrows have won. They played terribly. That's your whole like personality on this show.
All right. Let's focus on the game that actually happened.
Okay, so Seattle should have won this game, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, Seattle shouldn't have committed so many penalties, if that's what you mean. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes. Yeah, Seattle's obviously the penalty count's a little high. Some of them were kind of iffy. But hey, but I mean, you got to play to the ref, right? So sometimes,
Yeah.
so they needed to like, you're down by 1, you have the ball like 15 meters in front of the post. Like, do you need to try a drop goal? Now, I know that the argument to it is like Alatimu was on the bench because he was out of the game at this point, but like it still seems like it's like that's the prime position to attempt a drop goal from.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, maybe like, and if you don't have anyone that can do it, you should probably, I don't know, maybe get some more guys that know how to do that.
We should always have at least.
It seems like there's just sorry.
You should always have 2 guys, one who's in the starting lineup and the other one who's on the bench.
Or 2 guys in the starting or something. It seems like one of those, like, I don't know. It just seemed like a situation where it's like, I mean, I guess every play in rugby, I guess every play in rugby, every coaching decision, every player decision in rugby is going to have like pros and cons, right? The con to attempting a drop goal is obviously that you could miss, but the con to also continuing to try to run with the ball, get through, the defense. The con to that is obviously that, Devin Short can show up and steal the ball.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I mean, if Seattle scores doing that, we're not complaining about going for a drop goal, but it is an interesting question of like, you know what I mean? Because it seemed like once they got that turnover at the end there to actually even just set them up there, they, it kind of seemed like, because especially like they were doing so many like pick and goes, just the ball's going to the forward, trying to crash through that Nola line, but they were all doing it like right in front of the posts, which just seemed like an optimal position to do it. But like I said, though, it's like Alatimu was obviously on the bench, so maybe there was a personnel reason why they didn't go for it. It just seemed like such an ideal situation to do it, though. Last play of the game, down by 1. Seattle only had 2 tries, so it's not like you're going to get a bonus point out of it if if you're going for that try, right? But yeah, I think so. It is interesting. Like I wonder, like I don't know. It was like watching the game. I was kind of like, I'm surprised they're not trying one. But again, with Alatimu on the bench, then perhaps there wasn't a way to actually do it. But yeah, obviously, like Carl Mayer had a really nice night kick with the boot, and like he kind of, there was quite a bit of penalties, but yeah, it's Nola ended up kind of interesting, and like they had such a poor start at home, but their first road game against a good team at home ends up going their way. So so it's like good. That's good for Nola Gold. Eric Howard kind of came off the bench. I thought he played well off the bench and in relief of Pat O'Toole in this game. Obviously the the Canadian Nakai Penny. I still think he's playing very well this season. He seems to be at the vast majority of the breakdowns, kind of wreaking havoc on that. He got replaced by Travis Larson for the last 3 minutes of the game too. So that kind of seems like a constant. It's at least like Seattle constantly having like their Canadians kind of on the bench like that. Yeah, I thought so. I mean, overall pretty good. It was an entertaining game. I think I don't know. I couldn't help but like watching it at the end. I was just like, that seems like a perfect spot for a drop goal. But it's it is what it is. It's a great play by Devin Short. There's always one like open side flanker that can find a way to get his hands on the ball at at the appropriate time there. And Nola even kind of went in with a little bit of a different setup too, having Cam Dolan go play in the second row for this game, right? So there was a little bit of a different setup for them, but it kind of worked out well. So I wonder if they're going to keep that going forward, considering they started the season 0-3. Other Canadian in this game, Reed Watkins, didn't actually get into the game. So
yeah, that's disappointing.
Maybe he could have hit the drop goal. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll never know now.
Yeah,
well done, Seawolves.
I have no idea.
Yeah, also, well, I know what they're going to be working on for the next one. The next game was Utah versus Dallas, and they announced in both their lineups that neither team would have a Canadian present.
It's a shame.
So we put on the Rouge Twitter that maybe catch the highlights of this later. And I think Utah read that and took it personally. So they decided, all right, we're going to make this a must watch game. And so the final score, Utah 69, Dallas 22. I mean, what else is there to say? This was the first home game of the season for Utah. And, what a home game it was for all their fans. It seems to be the same story as always with Dallas. The defensive efforts just weren't there. You had missed tackles, or you had Utah being steamrolling over them. And then you would have instances of Mika Kruse has his hands on the ball. Good luck catching the dust cloud behind him as he marches over the line.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say, obviously, what is the score here? 69-22.
Yeah.
Congratulations to everybody that had the very clever, nice joke on Twitter that clogged up the timelines for a while there. Yeah,
obviously congratulating them on getting the highest score.
Yeah, they played
and
a nice
nothing
game,
else. Yeah. That's it.
So I think I agree, though. I think they did take your tweet there personally, Stu, and decided to make all 80 minutes of this game a highlight reel. Because that's it's one of those things that's like the highlights almost don't do it justice in a weird way. I don't necessarily think, obviously Dallas struggling this season. They yet to pick up a win. Slightly better than Old Glory DC in the sense that they actually have table points. But I think watching this game, there was it's not even so much if there's a missed tackle here or there, because ultimately at the end of the day, it's when you're winning, the whole point of the attack in rugby is to try to design something that's going to force the defense to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get guys to miss tackles or make bad reads or whatever. The attack is trying to create mistakes in the defense. That's how you score tries, right? And Utah's attack, when it clicks, is tough to stop. And I think a couple reasons, kind of looking into what this scoreline kind of ended up being. One, the Utah scrum dominated. It looked like playing I don't know, they were playing a different level team.
Well, the thing is though, that this is now the second time that Dallas's scrum has been completely dominated by another team.
Yeah.
So the question may be, is it the fact that Utah is that strong, or is it a case of Dallas just needs a lot of work on? Because if it had only been Utah, if it had only been New York,
it's both Utah.
And yeah.
It's both. Oh, I mean, for one, New York's got a good scrum too, but you got a front row of Franco Vandenberg, Chad Goff, and Paul Mullen. Mullen has 25 Eagle caps. Goff's got 1, and Vandenberg is a South African prop who, those guys tend to be pretty good. And, if you have that, and then they have a good engine room as well. Especially in this game, they have a good engine room in Uhila and Lane, and then the back row is also really good with Williams, Wilson, and Van Vuren. Utah's got a good scrum, right? Dallas does not have a good scrum, but
clearly
Utah should be able to use their scrum in most games to create an advantage because they're good. Because they are good, right? And they have guys especially the props up front, but you kind of right versus Dallas's scrum is relatively young, right? Across no matter who they actually put in the lineup, it's still relatively young, and especially at that front row position where that impact's going to happen, and guys like Vandenberg, Mullen, and Goff can take advantage of, that if your technique's not perfect, right? And I think we kind of saw that. And then obviously Nail Saunders in this game too, just magic. I thought he was outstanding. He used obviously there's a couple of the highlight ones, the kicks over the top to Mika Kruse, where Cruze's not even breaking stride to regather them.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the nicest one of. I thought it was going to be the nicest try of the weekend, and then we watched the New York game, and because the New York game has a Canadian try, that so I'm going to get to that one. We'll talk about that later. But I thought like Saunders doing a good job of kicking the ball, like kicking over the top, and like utilizing that play to not only create territory, to not only turn around the Dallas defense, but to actually having it set up Cruze for some tries was insane. Obviously, he picked up a try on his own as well. And every time he seemed to put boot to ball, something positive happened for the Utah Warriors. And I mean, most things in this game were positive for the Utah Warriors, but then, when Utah gets going to and they can work the ball like across the field a couple times, play the wide, expansive rugby, having guys like Teo out on the wing that can finish. Cliven Lobster was outstanding with the boot too. Obviously with the conversions and stuff, but when you have guys like, Teo and Cruze combined for 5 tries in this game, they're scoring all on the touchline on most of them. Teo was able to run one in a little bit closer, but it's like there's so many tries coming in on the touchline. Lobster was 6 out of 8, and McEnany, when he replaced Lobster at the end, was 2 for 2, right? And then Lobster also added a penalty too. They're it's not even that they're scoring tries. It's like they're scoring tries. The kicks were accurate. It's like they were racking up points. I mean, it's one of those games too, where it's like, I mean, as the scoreline indicates, everything went right for you.
Yeah.
Right. As the scoreline is going to indicate everything went right for you. I think if I'm a Jackals fan, I wouldn't dwell on it too much. I think you can kind of if there is a negative on this game for the Warriors, it's kind of toward the end of the game, it seemed like they might have let up a little bit. Once they were this game is won. Because obviously the Jackals scored 2 really quick tries from Ned Hodgson, just 2 minutes apart. Right. Eric Naposki looks pretty good. First round pick, her first overall pick. Right. So he's looking pretty good. I think the Jackals still have some players that can make an impact, but it is, I think we are kind of going to start to see, as the league kind of grows, whether it's the Jackals, whether it's the next expansion team, that the expansion teams are going to be a little bit behind and are going to have to maybe take a year or two to build up into something. So, I mean, obviously they're still kind of waiting on their first W, but I wouldn't put it's not that I would say shouldn't put too much stock into this game, but I wouldn't dwell on the fact that you were on the other end of the record setting score. Everything just kind of seemed to go right for Utah, but they did some good things at the end of the game that I think you might be able to kind of bottle and be if you focus on that going forward, it might give you something positive to think about too.
Yeah, it seems like at the moment it's going to be a long season for Dallas, not following the tradition of the new boys in MLR.
You know what they need to do? They need to break out those retro jerseys. Get the collars on. Yeah, get the collars on, get the hoops, get a W, and go home. Yeah.
Derek, do you know one of the funniest things about this Utah's victory for me is?
Am I supposed to say? Is it something obvious, the fact that we're all we're all super immature and are going to laugh at the number 69?
No.
Or is it
this is what I find funny, as in a ironic kind of sense of so this is as we've mentioned before, the biggest win in MLR history, the hat trick by Mika Cruze, 10 tries, the most tries of any game, the full 5-point complement, and Utah are still 6th in the West.
Yeah, they started 0-3. Just because you scored 10 tries and 69 points doesn't erase 3 losses. It feels nice, but it doesn't get.
Yeah, it feels nice. You're still out of the playoff spots at the moment.
That is kind of the fun thing. I mean, that is kind of the funny thing, I guess, about sports or about rugby in general, though, is it's rugby obviously gives you a bonus point for scoring 4 tries. So anytime you can do that, so it's maybe not every win is necessarily equal, but whether you win 69-22 or you win Like I guess if you got to get the bonus points, so I'll give you 20. I won't even give you the conversions or whether you win like 20-18. The win's still worth the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing is like, your points difference is significantly larger, but your points overall.
I mean, I guess the positive thing, I guess, man. I mean, if anything ever comes down to a tiebreaker, you probably won. It's never a bad thing to have a 47-point win under your belt either, right? So
yeah, let's just hope the tiebreaker isn't between something like 4th or 5th place.
Tiebreakers helped Utah clinch last year or whatever. Or like I guess maybe not tiebreakers. They weren't tied, but like bonus points and stuff definitely helped Utah clinch. So I mean, if they're going to start racking them, if Utah returns to their form where they're scoring, I mean, 10 tries is a little nuts, but if Utah can return to their form like last year when they're scoring like 6-7 tries a game, that's it's scary. It could be a team to look out for. The West is kind of packed.
Yeah. Okay, third game of the round. It had Atlanta were back from their bye week and they were hosting Houston. Houston got off to a very quick start by essentially a charge down of a pass. And because they were able to collect it, it wasn't considered a forward pass. And because they collected it in the try zone, were able to score a try, immediate 7-point lead, then to a 10-point lead. And then Atlanta were like, wait a minute, this is our house. We're going to make sure that we are getting in charge here. And yeah, incredibly intense opening first quarter of the game. Atlanta then were able to stretch a lead, but then Houston were able to claw back. The final score being Atlanta 29, Houston 22. So Houston, despite not getting the win, were able to get the losing bonus point, which obviously helped them come towards the end of the season. Atlanta, fantastic game. So, a great game for Atlanta afterwards. I mean, obviously Matt Heaton getting the try was, great for our perspective that not only a Canadian, but a Canadian captain was able to get the first try for his team on the board. But yeah, as in like, obviously a complete shock to start the game, as in like, you think you're passing, coming out, and then all of a sudden you're 7 points down. What is it going on?
Yeah. Also, I believe the word for a charge down of a pass is an interception. Because
I mean, technically you're correct.
He bobbles it, but he catches that. That's an interception. It's an interception.
But normally an interception is caught in the pass between players, not when you push it forward and then catch it.
Yeah, well, if you still catch it, it's not a knock-on, right? So
anyway, commentators call a crossfield kick a kick pass. So
a little bit of additional Canadian content too. Gareth Reese on the mic for this one too. So
we always appreciate Gareth Reese on the mic. He was there for Toronto, LA, and now Atlanta, Houston. So
yeah, exactly. And but like so is that the fastest try in MLR history? It's got to be, right?
Yeah, definitely has to be. We'll say this, and then sometime between now and the end of the season, or probably this coming weekend, someone's gonna kick it. Yeah, kick it to the wing, it get caught, and then first try within 10 seconds. So yeah, it was all looking well for Houston to get it started, and then it just fell apart for them, unfortunately. I think obviously having a yellow card in immediately after halftime just let the doors open. And I mean, that said, all the tries for the Rattlesnakes came in the first half, and to be honest, their only real score was De La Vega Mendia's penalty at the 53rd minute. So yeah, it's not like the worst thing that could have happened for Houston, but at the same time, you obviously want to have your full 15 on the field.
No, yeah, for sure.
And then it was just the obviously Nick Boyer got that try with like 3 minutes to play, and they were able to get that losing bonus point, and they did go on again, and then it was eventually snuffed out by a knock on, which in turn gave Atlanta the victory. So, I was coming back from a bye week, as it has been shown so far has been incredibly beneficial. So hoping only for the best for Toronto this coming week. Okay, the fourth game.
I was just gonna say Povey got a little bit more time in this game too. He played like 20 minutes at the end. He missed the conversion on Boyer's try, but it's nice to see him slowly getting a little bit more playing time as opposed to the start of the year.
Now we head to Texas for the fourth game of the round, and it was the Cocktail Classic. Austin Gilgronis hosting the LA Giltinis. We had some records broken in this game. We had the oldest MLR player to date. And actually, because of a change in the lineup, is actually the LA Giltinis assistant coach, Orain Ai, who stepped up into the number 10 jersey at 42 years, 5 months, and 10 days old. The oldest MLR player and the oldest MLR point scorer because he kicked all of LA's points. And this has been notified as well. Coincidentally, in the same game, Kahanu Koi made his debut for LA. And at 18 years, 8 months, and 15 days, Koi is the youngest player in MLR history. So the oldest and youngest on the same team in the same game. So this is an interesting thing that was pointed out by James Dealey of MLR Stats. IE received the World Rugby Sevens Player of the Year award for 2004 and 2005. That is the same year that Koi was born.
Wow, there's guys that are born in 2005 in this league.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is like anytime they get to ages, and
he's born in 2000. Oh my gosh, he's born in 2005. I'm sorry, I cut you off there, but I'm just shocked.
That's the thing. Whenever I'm looking at like players' date of birth and it's 2000 and it's like I'm sorry, 2000 and there's more.
Jeez, wow.
Let me break out the Zimmer.
That does that math check? I'm trying to even. He's 8. Wow. Yeah, like what a. I mean, it is one of those games where it's like, yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, regardless of like the outcome and stuff of either team, like that's just kind of cool. It's cool. It's both cool and crazy that happened in the same game. Because I mean,
the entire game was crazy. I mean, in the first half,
this is the best game of the weekend, I think.
Yeah. LA was entirely in control in the first half. And I mean, Austin did get some breaks, but LA was able to keep everything under control, keep the pressure on, force the penalties. Mm-hmm. And it looked like it was going to be, a similar result as last year. And then I don't know what hair dryers that Sam Harris has been keeping around, but clearly the hair dryer treatment in a half time did the job.
Yeah.
Because Austin then scored 22 unanswered points in the second half to make the final score 22-9. There was another stat showing that between 2018 and 2020, Austin only won 4 games in those 3 seasons. Yeah. They are now on a 5-match winning streak.
Well, yeah, I think like that's one of those things. Like Austin is kind of becoming like a really great story this season, something to follow, right? Because 2019, 2019, like they're they were the 0-16 team, and now 2020, 2021 is 3 seasons later, right? Or 3 seasons later, like they're the last remaining undefeated team in the league, and which see how long this goes. This could be a bit of a crazy story too. Yeah, like the game. Obviously, the game's nuts. Like it's just the build up to the game too. Now, obviously, Koi in the lineup the whole time, so we were going to get the youngest MLR player. But I guess to see like what the broadcast was saying was that Luke Burton like got hurt in warm up. So to have IE kind of come in, to have IE come in and step up as the backs coach, which I guess isn't necessarily like, I mean, that's not the worst person you can have to kind of come in and fill in as a fly half on an emergency basis, right? A backs coach,
I suppose so.
A guy that would know your system and stuff. And I mean, like he played Super Rugby. It's like it's just I guess the last games that he played were for like the San Francisco Rush in like pro rugby, which is that's
6 years ago.
too. Yeah, that's wild too. Pro rugby, man, still that's wild. I wonder how many. I'm sure there's quite a bit still that played pro rugby that are in MLR. But yeah, so like that's crazy. But that stat that you just said, he's winning player of the year in the same year that a teammate is born is crazy. But yeah, and then he like started off the game playing pretty well too. And I mean, obviously he went 3 for 3 from the boot, although some of those penalties were in very nice spots, so that kind of worked out well. But yeah, it was like Austin had a hard time getting anything going. LA's defense was playing pretty well. There was some guys that were making life pretty difficult on them. And then, the Austin Gilgronis kind of on their broadcast, they showed, they did like a little like halftime interview, and we should talk about the Gilgronis broadcast here. I don't know if they're like using some like cameras that are like some inside the scrum kind of extra cameras or whatever. They seem to have like a couple extra like close up angles and stuff that other stadiums don't seem to be utilizing. So that was kind of interesting to see. But like the halftime was interesting because they showed that interview with Sam Harris in which he looked pissed. Like he looked very unhappy with that half. So yeah, I don't know what he said, but I hope that's on any future Inside the Scrum seasons, because that would be a delightful scene to watch, I'm sure. But they also kind of showed like in the sheds during like between halftime, like some of the players talking about the game and like strategy and stuff, which is I thought was a really cool thing, little cool broadcast detail that would be nice, like which I thought was super cool. So, but then yeah, they come out guns blazing, and then obviously Lawrence gets the first try, just. Finding the gap. That guy is massive for a scrum half too.
Yeah.
Finds a gap, speeds through it. He played great the whole game. Mooneyham, I think, touched the ball twice and scored 2 tries.
Yeah,
that might be a slight exaggeration, but I think even the commentary team remarks that they don't think they said his name in the first half. And then yeah, he scores 2 tries, and both 2 great tries too. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like Austin seems like they're rolling right now, and even good sign from them too. Like you kind of, come out a little flat at home, and then, go down, you end up in the sheds down by 9 at halftime, and then come out and dominate the second half, put up 22 unanswered points, scoring 3 tries. And I always said it's kind of crazy, like kind of looking back at last year being like they had a really good defense but couldn't score. And that defense for Austin is still really good, evidenced by the fact that they didn't give up a try to the LA Giltinis, who are obviously a little injury riddled at the moment. But yeah, like, I mean, is this the first time the Giltinis have been held without a try? Now that I'm thinking about it, without a try,
possibly.
Yeah, they got beat by New York when New York didn't score a try. But I think this is the first time LA hasn't scored a try in a game. And, so they were able to hold them without a try. So excellent D all around. And then, yeah, like this team, like guys like Mooneyham kind of keep developing. And like, you have like, guys like Mooneyham kind of keep developing. It's like one like that. He's probably going to be an Eagle soon if he keeps playing like he's playing. And then, but it's like Mooneyham, like Marcel Broch, like, and Julian Dominguez, man, like they got some like legit scoring threats now. And it's like, if you can't get by that defense, and if they're able to just like turn around and bang out like 22 unanswered points on you like that, then, Austin's going to be a problem. It's the days of 2019 are gone. The team now is elite.
Yeah,
they're elite now. It took them a while to get to it. But also, I mean, like, yeah, like Austin didn't.
All right, so we move to the.
I was just gonna say, like, Austin didn't really roll out their any. Cole Davis again didn't play for Austin. Corey Thomas. I thought he played pretty well. All things considered in the loss, but
All right, we move on to the Sunday games, and it started with New York playing their first home game at Hoboken against the New England Free Jacks. And starting off well for New York, especially. An amazing try scored by Andrew Coe in the 8th minute.
The best try of the year so far.
Side the lead. Definitely try of the round. And, absolutely fantastic that he was able to continue his incredible start to the season. But a few moments later, it was New England that was getting the scores with Sam McDowell scoring, and then followed up with the first of Bowden Walker's tries. But then it seems like a reverse of fortune because New York scored again, and not just New York, it was the second for Andrew Coe, scoring in the 35th minute. And, it was keeping it tight, keeping it close. So all the difference was a by Sam Windsor instead of the conversion, which gave the halftime score for New York is 15, New England 14. And then immediately out of the box, Bowden Walker scores another try. 2 minutes later, O'Connor scores a try. So we're keeping everything really close, really tight. And then just within the final 10 minutes, it all goes New England's way. Johnson scores a try on the 70th minute. And then New York are really pressuring New England, looking to get that try that would, if not give them the lead, get them back within the chance to score again. And then all of that turns on its head as Bowden Walker gets the ball, gets another try, and, the result's all the same. But then, very strangely, towards the end, it's a line out to the Free Jacks, and the clock's gone red, and yet New England continue to play. And what happens? New York get the turnover, they pass it out, they get a final try to get them the try bonus point. And, we're saying this now of we've still got, what is it, about 11 weeks left, or 11 or 13 weeks left of the season. 13, because it was 18 weeks.
Don't ask me to do math.
Yeah, you were doing math earlier, and I was trusting everything you're saying. So yeah, we have 13 weeks left of the regular season, and at this point of time, bonus points may not make a difference, but come towards that week 16, week 17 mark, you may be really grateful. So the fact that New England just kept playing, very strange to me. All the same, though, it was a fantastic day. Hoboken Stadium, okay, it's a high school stadium. As a result, no alcohol could be sold, which a few fans weren't happy about on social media. But you could see from the broadcast there were people watching the community tennis courts behind, and everyone was lining up and just watching this game. And they've even shown on the Rugby New York social media account of them doing the wave along the stands, and then people on a terrace joining in as well. And, obviously capacity is limited. I'm not entirely sure what the capacity for the stadium is.
They said they sold it out.
It's they did say they sold it out, but they never said the number of which they sold it out. So I'm saying generously, it would probably be about 2,000 people. Yeah. Well, but when you have all that interest from people watching, that's new fans, and and there's already been talk of development of JFK Stadium, which is where they are at, being renovated and becoming similar to where San Diego playing now, that it's a field on top of a building. But hopefully, even just by these people watching, you're getting new fans interested, so that when New York do have to move to a new stadium with a bigger capacity, these fans will be the ones that will be able to come along and enjoy their team, and also pay tickets as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I actually really thought the stadium actually looked really cool, on TV.
It does look good on the issue. Obviously,
it actually looks great on TV. I thought I saw like some people like kind of complaining about it and stuff. And I mean, I get the lines thing. I get
Yeah,
that
that's
bothers
the
people.
thing. That's confused.
I get
Although
that bothers people.
the commentary did say we're following like the yellow lines, which was all on the outside, and obviously
Yeah.
if you saw where the flags were, you know where to be looking
No,
at.
yeah.
Again, it's one of these things that is also an athletics track around it as well, so there's even bigger distance between
Yeah.
the
I mean, we're
fans
talking.
and the action. So
I think it looks nicer than a baseball field, though.
oh
Like,
yeah,
I think it looks. I think it aesthetically. I think it looks a bit nicer than that. It looks nicer than, the illusion that you have like a massive dirt pathway in the middle of the pitch, even though that baseball team didn't actually play with dirt there. But yeah, like I thought it like it looks cool on TV. Like it looks like
yeah.
I guess I know it's in New Jersey, but I was like, it looks like the New York level of like any sports video game or whatever. Like,
yeah,
no,
I get what you mean. In the fact that there's like buildings and like accommodation all around it, and
yeah, like it looked
like this is the one area, so this is where all the sports take place.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like there was like the tennis courts on one side, and then there was like, is it another tennis court, or it looked like maybe like a small basketball court, like a basketball court, like toward the right hand side.
Yeah, it seems to be like community area because there was you could see some people playing tennis. You could see another tennis court that was empty, and it seemed to be on the end. I don't know if it was
just
an open tennis court or it was just I don't know if he were like meant to be lining up waiting for the tennis court, and they were just like watching.
It's like watch the, but it's like
there's also like a kid's playground a bit further back that I could see as well. So it'd be like if parents wanted something to do whilst their kids were playing on the jungle gym and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, Timmy, you're doing great. Stop crying, watching the game.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. Like it looks cool. It's cool to see like the people that are just like in the neighborhood or on the street, lined up on like the cages there to kind of watch the game. It was cool to see. I don't know whatever that building is. Is that a bar or is that just like an apartment building? They didn't really say what it was on the bar. I don't have no idea what that building is, but that building where like all the people were like watching like on the roof, like that's
no idea really what it was, but that's the thing. What if it is a rental space? Then Rugby New York needs to like rent it out for those occasions.
Whatever it is, I hope those people like keep going back because that's actually like that's really cool.
Well, if it's accommodation, they hopefully will keep coming.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they live there, hopefully, yeah, exactly. But like, and even like kind of when they showed that wide angle, and again, like knowing that it is in New Jersey, anyways, but it's like you can see like the New York skyline, like with the Empire State Building and like above, like beyond the stadium. Like it actually, like I mean, in all like visually from this, it's like the only couple. Like I get people don't like the lines, and it does look weird having. I think for any professional sports team, it looks bizarre having a different team's logo like at the middle of your pitch, right? And like the scoreboard said like home of the Red Wings, on it, which is like that is kind of weird for a professional sports team to have like a different team's like branding all over their own pitch.
Well, then again, the Arrows have had York Lions when they played at Alumni Field. So not the weirdest.
It's not uncommon or whatever. But yeah, that's an excellent point. Like it's not it isn't uncommon. It isn't uncommon, obviously, especially when these teams are playing at schools and stuff right now. They obviously are. But I think I thought aesthetically though the stadium looked really cool. It felt very New York. I know it's in New Jersey, but it did feel like very like this is how I picture like a New York kind of being sometimes. So I did like that. Then I don't know. The no alcohol thing, I guess, was the other big complaint. I mean, that doesn't personally bother me, but I know it seems like some people were kind of disappointed at that. But the game itself, let's go to the game itself. Sam Windsor and Andrew Coe got that kick pass to work, which was
that crossfield kick.
Yeah, that was outstanding. You know what? Maybe just theorizing, maybe the football lines helped Coe stay on side because he can see where Windsor is the whole time going across.
Okay.
Maybe New York's onto something. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't, but yeah, Cole stays on side this week and makes a really nice like diving catch in the in goal area too.
Yeah.
That was perfect. That was so nice. Cole obviously lightning down the sideline or down the touch line again later in the game. Another so big 2-try performance for him. Great to see Cole like kind of coming into his own in this league, and looks like he's going to start to put up some big numbers. He's been playing well all year, and this might probably his best game of the year so far. Obviously, he had 2 tries in it, so but he is playing well on defense. Before going to like the New England Canadians, so like Nawadi comes into the game and they have him like lining up at like flanker in some of the scrums, which was interesting.
Yeah, that's one word for it.
Yeah, and then I was kind of trying to watch like how he was playing after, and it seemed like he kind of just dropped sort of back into the defensive line or dropped back into the attack. I don't know if they're trying to use him as like a flanker that would be playing up more out wide during your attacking structure, but like that seemed kind of odd when I saw him kind of in the pack. And but yeah, so that was interesting. New England though, obligatory Josh Larson is amazing.
Yeah.
Statement. Once again, doing everything for New England, somehow not drawing a card for being punched in the face.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Yeah. So, but moving on either way. Didn't let that bother him. He unreal work rate. He's been a beast this year. Foster Dewitt, I thought played pretty well too. He held his own in the scrum. He played at hooker, but then also moved to loose head at a certain point in the game too. So kind of nice to see him kind of with the front row versatility a little bit. That's obviously a good skill to kind of develop. And Reeves played well. O'Gorman came in the 50th minute, giving us the nice all Canadian engine room that we love.
Yeah.
And and they all played pretty well. Reeves had some nice moments, had some good they had him on the wing in this game, and he had some nice like line breaks and some good moments of defense as well. So, right, it's just kind of got outshined by the Canadian winger on the other squad during this game.
Yeah, no, it is what it is.
Yep. Last game?
I think we shall. So we go to the final game of the weekend, and this was San Diego versus DC. And predictably, San Diego got off to a good start. It was, I believe, 17-0 at half time.
Yeah, it was looking bleak for Old Glory.
DC got an intercept and got the 7-pointer from that, and then got another try, unable to get the conversion. Suddenly it's 17-12. And then the question started going, it's like, DC could they? Spoiler alert, they didn't. It was San Diego who got another try and the conversion as well to take the final score to San Diego 24, DC 12. DC now enter the bye week, having played 5 games and leave without a single point.
Oh, do they have a bye this week?
They do.
Oh, good for them. They need it. They need
Yeah.
Go to the Bahamas too, boys.
Yeah.
Take your mind off of it.
Punishing game. But
yeah, it's tough. I thought San Diego, like Smith's been playing well. He had a nice he had a nice like run and support line in the build up to Moriani's try. Continue. I like seeing that he continues to develop. San Diego kind of came out though guns blazing on the Canadian front. We got our first Kanoa Lloyd start. Pat Lynott came into the game in the 69th minute, and Jason Higgins came in the 69th minute as well. Josh Thiel came in the 74th minute. So we got the full complement of the San Diego Legion Canadians in this game. and they won, which is not a coincidence at all.
Exactly.
All of them played pretty well. It's hopefully the sign. Jason Higgins looks like he just showed up based on his social media. It looks like he kind of just showed up to the team within the last 2 weeks or so. Yeah. So I thought so it's nice to see so it's nice to see the full complement of the San Diego Legion Canadians come into this game and make an impact and pick up a big win as we, continue to move forward.
The fourth round of the Six Nations will be shown on the Zone this weekend, but remember that the Wales versus France game will be held on Friday. That's a Friday fixture. We also have the Premiership and URC that will be shown on Sportsnet. Super Rugby Pacific will be shown on TSN. Japan League One, you can find that on the Rugby Network, as well as the non-Arrows MLR games. And if you are looking for the Arrows game, it will be versus New England this Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TSN website and app. So, Derek, we are entering round 6 of predictions, and we're getting pretty close when it comes to scores now. You've got 16 correct, 13 wrong. I've got 15 correct, 14 wrong. Tooney, 13 correct, 16 wrong.
Neither one of us is doing very well this year.
We're equally bad. Or equally good. Let's keep it optimistic.
No, because we're all doing poorly. We're all just at 500, basically.
Yeah, and you say I complain a lot. Okay, the first round we have this week is ATL versus Austin, the two A's. Derek, who are you picking?
Oh man, there's some unreal matchups this weekend. This is a good week. Ooh. You know what? This is going to be one of my ATLs at home.
Yeah.
They have more Canadians.
Okay, you're going with ATL?
Yeah, I'll go with ATL. Might be
all
wrong.
Right.
Probably going to be wrong, but I'll go with them.
Now, I have the feeling that ATL is probably going to be a team that can get a win against Austin, but at the same time, it's been proven that Austin can turn a game around. I mean, just look at this week just gone. We've had LA taking the lead. They hadn't scored at all in the first half, and then they blitz it in the second. I mean, the evidence is there. I have to go with Austin. All right. The second game we have is New England versus Toronto. They're coming off a bye week. They're going to be refreshed and reinvigorated. Toronto it is.
Yeah, I'm going with Toronto too. Man, I can never pick a Boston team to beat a Toronto team. That'll never happen in any sporting prediction pool. No.
Okay, third game we have is Houston versus Seattle. Derek, who are you picking?
Ooh. This is a tough one.
It is.
Tough one. So this is the type of game where I should say draw, unlike last week where I said draw and then the team won by 47 points.
You want to pick draw again, or are you going to pick an actual team?
I'll go with the actual teams. I think I'm going to go with Houston solely because they're the home team and for no other reason. I think this game's pretty even, so I'll give Houston the edge just because they're at home.
Yeah, I think the seawall has been chipped and cracked at. I think Houston are able to identify where gap can be found, as was shown against Atlanta. So I'm going to agree. I'm going to go with Houston as well. All right. Next up, we have Dallas versus NOLA.
Dallas?
It is in Dallas.
Huh. This is another one that feels hard, but I don't know if it should feel hard. I think it's one of those games where it's I kind of want to see Dallas's lineup because I feel like if Dallas arrests guys like Abdelmanem and stuff again, I don't think they're going to win. But I'm going to go. Can I go partial pick? If Abdelmanem plays, I'm picking Dallas. If Abdelmanem doesn't play,
is this because last week you said I'll never choose against Ben Lesage, and then you find out Ben Lesage is injured, so can't be selected?
Yeah, exactly. So he did. Yeah, exactly. That's there. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I assumed Ben Lesage would be playing for LA, and I was wrong. I'm good. I'm going to trust that Mo's going to play. I'll go with Dallas.
I think now that they've gotten a win under their belts, I think they can get back to their golden ways again. So I'll be going with Nola.
See, that's weirdly the reason why I think Nola's going to lose. So they got their win last week.
Okay, for the 5th round, we have New York, and they will be hosting San Diego. Now, this one feels like a close matchup. I mean, New York losing their home opener, I don't feel that'll do anything against them. San Diego, they've already got a loss this season so far as well. And it is in New York as well. And I think it'll be another good atmosphere. I'm going to go with New York.
I'll take San Diego then.
That leads us to the final game of the round, a replay of the 2021 Western Conference Final. LA versus Utah at the Coliseum. Derek, who do you have? Like you said, this is a good matchup week.
Yeah, it's a very good matchup week. Yeah, it's tough. I think, man, I kind of, because LA's obviously got some injuries. And like, I think if LA's has a lineup that we know that they can put forward, I would say LA, but I think I guess it depends on how many guys they get back. And if Utah comes out and plays like they did last week against them, then I think I'll go with Utah. I think I'll take Utah on this one. Get a little bit of revenge.
I mean, that's fair. Although the last time they did play, Utah did get the win. Then again, during the regular season, that was round 18, and LA had already confirmed that they were going to be the home team.
And then LA smoked them the next week in the playoffs.
Yeah. Actually, well, they didn't smoke them. They just got to try in the final few minutes to get them through to the final. Either way, they did say that Justice Duru was only being rested for the weekend just gone, so hopefully he should be back in the squad as well. I think there's going to be some changes with the lineup. It's going to be far more what we've seen so far. Again, I'm not expecting DTH Van der Merwe to be starting anytime soon, but I am expecting a more familiar LA side, so I will be going with Los Angeles.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the one downside to recording the podcast when we do earlier in the week, gets to get it out on Wednesday. No idea what these lineups are when we're making these.
Of course not.
Which is also kind of the fun part about it. Well, also, probably.
Well, to be honest, Derek, we can make this prediction 5 minutes before the first kickoff of the first game.
Yeah. And
we still probably wouldn't have the team list for like half the games anyway. So we may as well go blind for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And if you, dear watcher or listener, are wondering where are the Toonies picks, well, you can find them on our brand new TikTok account at Rouge Rugby. We post not only the Toonies picks, we also repost our picks here as well if you want more bite-sized information. In fact, you can find us across all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Rouge Rugby. If you enjoyed this episode and you're listening, you can listen to more on either Spotify or Anchor FM. And if you like watching our beautiful faces, you can find more of our episodes on our YouTube channel, again, at Rouge Rugby. Now, if you are watching on YouTube, you can see our social media handles underneath our faces. But if you're listening, you obviously can't. So, Derek, where can the lovely people find you?
At Reset the Jet across all social media. Stu, you always spell your name. My name seems kind of complicated, so BRESSETTE, the Jet, across everything.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hardman, spelled H4RDMAN. Well, Derek, I think that's it for this week's pod. Again, there's been no Arrows game, so it hasn't gone on for an hour and a half as we usually do. But thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you can join us again next time.